Hey, welcome to Mediacast, the completely new podcast series from Mediabrief.com. Mediacast will bring you insightful conversations with some of the best and most accomplished young media leaders who are shining in their spheres of work and specialization, and who bring rich domain experience and expertise from media, marketing, and advertising from across verticals and functions. I'm your host and friend Pavan Chawla, and the young media expert I'm looking forward to having an expert conversation with is someone whose line of work I would have imagined would have been really badly hit by the lockdown. I'm delighted to welcome, and please join me in welcoming to the show Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. Swaroop, welcome to Mediacast.
Thank you, Pavan. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And Mediacast is a great opportunity to spread this word further. Thank you so much for having the Zee Media Group with you today.
The pleasure is completely mine, Swaroop, and thank you so much for your time. Swaroop, before we begin our conversation, I'd like to set the context, and for that, do the honors of introducing you to our audience.
My distinguished guest on Mediacast today is Swaroop Banerjee, COO and Business Head of ZeeLive. Swaroop comes with close to 2 decades of experience in creating and establishing integrated revenue models in live entertainment in the genres of music, sports, comedy, lifestyle, and culture. Swaroop has closely worked with teams in more than 7 nations to constantly innovate the evolving culture dynamics in revenue generation platforms within the media and entertainment industry. Over the years, Swaroop has conceptualized and developed more than 15 business models with live original content and IPs at the core of the businesses at MTV Asia, Star World and Movies, Viacom 18INS, and the Laqshya Media Group. And some of these include Earth, a Culture Fest, Supermoon, VH1 Supersonic, Bollywood Music Fest, Windmill Festival, Pulsar Festival of Speed, Enchanted Valley Carnival, Pepsi Darbar Marg Festival, and Global Fighting Championship. That is a truly diverse catalogue. Swaroop's also worked with international talent for arena-sized events in Amsterdam, Dubai, Singapore, and Australia. Swaroop is also a guest columnist and blogger representing the Indian live scenario at various trade and business publications. That, my friends, is a brief introduction of Swaroop Banerjee, COO and Business Head of ZeeLive, our guest of honor on this, the inaugural episode of Mediacast, the new podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend, Pavan Chawla.
So, Swaroop, the lockdown to fight COVID-19 has been extremely tough on businesses, on the economy. It's hit the MICE industry. It's hit your parts of the specialist, wonderful live events subsector, and it's a wide one that you work on, that you handle and drive. Can you share some numbers on its impact in India?
And how do you sort of crystal ball gaze for your space?
Sure. So, just to give you a comparison, Pavan, the industry, the live IP or the live entertainment industry as such, was catalogued at about 11,000 crores and was growing at an average CAGR of about 15%. The collective impact, therefore, is as hard as that trajectory was, and we're seeing some very serious impact.
So, when you knew that a lockdown and a likely prolonged one was unavoidable, what were your first thoughts? What were the first steps you took as COO of ZeeLive?
We were very quick on our feet, Pavan. I must thank the teams and every talent and artist in the industry that came together. The first thing was to identify that this is going to be around for some time. We're pretty close-knit with the global live entertainment community, Pavan. And at the Zee Media Group, the first things that we did is we spoke to Hong Kong, we spoke to Taiwan, Korea, the US, Australia, and we had precedences in place where such things happen. We immediately stopped and announced that our festivals be postponed. The safety of our guests and consumers were most paramount to us, and we got into gear to first call every talent and every festival and move it to another date and tell our guests that we're moving them and to remain home safe.
You're tuned to Mediacast, the new podcast series from Mediabrief.com with young media veterans of exceptional ability and stellar experience. And in this episode, I, your host and friend Pavan Chawla, am speaking with Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. We'll be back. And we are back. I, your host and friend Pavan Chawla, am speaking with Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive.
Apart from virtual events, what are the other unique initiatives rolled out by ZeeLive to keep its offerings relevant in the virtual space, Swaroop? And which have been your favorite and why?
We created each and every intellectual property that we own. Culture, Arts, a Culture Fest, the largest culture festival that we have. We made an IP out of it online. We had 5 million views on Zee News. Yeah. We made Supermoon. We had 59 artists go live from Dubai to Bangalore. Every name that you know, we did about 11 million views. So every single IP went virtual. Talent was on board. Consumers were on board. I think everybody evolved and came together and made the virtual scene start.
Wonderful. In fact, if I remember correctly, and we covered this on Mediabrief.com also, Supermoon was taken to I don't know how many countries worldwide.
Yeah, so we in fact opened Supermoon, a part of Zee International, where we deal with our audiences in the Americas, in Australia, in Canada, in the Middle East. We created Supermoon International, a live and a music and comic concert for them. The response has been phenomenal because every Indian, every global Indian has been watching Zee forever. What ZeeLive does is take this entertainment that we put virtually all across the globe on ZEE5, and the response has been amazing. And Supermoon continues to bring some of the largest artists in the banner for our audiences, both in India and overseas.
Wow, that's cool. That's really good. So, which has been your favorite? The most memorable one?
Our first was Arth, a Culture Fest, which is one of my promoter properties with our founder Shreyasi Goenka. And when she and us built Arth, over 110 speakers from 11 different countries create Arth and speak to millions of people about everything from temples to textile fabrics and everything in India. When we took that online, that was very moving. Everyone from Ashwin Sanghi to Amish Tripathi to multiple authors and influencers came on board and talked about what India is going through. And I think Arth will remain one of my favorite because Arth is what put us on the map in Zee and outside.
Oh, absolutely. I also remember the impact of it because it was truly gargantuan in scale.
Yes, it was.
In terms of the quality of the content also, it was a beautiful coming together of production and of the content. So yeah, kudos for that. So what are the other unique initiatives that you've rolled out, that ZeeLive has rolled out?
What we're doing right now is the situation is evolving, Pavan, right? The situation was evolving from a point where everything halted, then everything went online, and now the possibilities of what could open and when will it open. So we, as an organized player in this segment, as a broadcaster, as someone who's been around for a while, we're prepared for a bunch of scenarios. We're going to try and roll out something that's small, if at all it happens in August and September. We're speaking to governments in Karnataka, we're speaking to governments in Assam, in Kerala, all the green states, and what could start there on ground. In fact, Roshan Abbas, us and Ajay Nair and a lot of other promoters spoke to each other. So it's this collaboration that we are seeking. We're ready to step out and put, let's say, a drive-in movies with our Zee Studios library as soon as we can, depending on the state that opens it. We're going to keep doing the virtual events and build scale because the number of consumers on it are excited. So the idea is to keep doing what we are, not knowing what the situation will be, and be ready for two products to roll out the moment the green states say, hey, you know what, let's start doing this in a socially distanced manner, in a sanitized manner, but let's roll out live entertainment. So we're ready for those scenarios.
Wonderful. That's good planning. So, as a really robust and one of the leading enablers in the live event space in India and a robust business, and in a space that you said grew by a CAGR of 15% over maybe the last 3-4 years. That's amazing. So, you've always had business plans, etc. And your marketing teams, your outreach and alliances teams are reaching out to people and potential partners and obviously clients. Now that may have come to a standstill in the sort of on-ground space or real space. Of course, virtual is real too because we're all real. But then how has ZeeLive been marketing its services during the pandemic to external customers, current and potential?
See, the virtual bit, Pavan, is a reality. It has become so real that it isn't virtual anymore, right? We're doing this day on day. We're doing this every single day. we've been speaking to clients every day across the segment. Partners, for example, from every digital partner that has come on board and made Supermoon happen. We sit with an OTT called ZeeLive that has over 74 million monthly users. And that kind of digital strength enables us as an organization to ensure that our partners, our clients are balanced. Yes, business is slower and no one's going to lie or not be honest about it.
Of course.
But the reach has been such that clients have accepted. Today a client wants to do something online with a talent, and if I do something with a chef, then because of that chef, there is a brand that goes with in the cooking that is probably virtually mentioned that, hey, I am a chef so-and-so and I'm part of Supermoon and I'm going to teach you to make, let's say, a cake today, and I'm going to do it with this product. Here is a client that otherwise would have come on a show on ground, has come on air, the brand is integrated on ZeeLive by ZeeLive. So the idea is to use the Zee Media 360-degree holistic content to ensure that partners, well, if they would have come at 100 rupees earlier, maybe they're coming at 40 rupees because the demand is slow for them as well. But either way, the idea is to keep the machine rolling and keep oiling it until we see the green of the day soon.
Absolutely. So a lot of synergies that you are using. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So Swaroop, we'll take a little break here.
Sure.
You tune to MediaCast, the new podcast series from Mediabrief.com with young media veterans of exceptional ability and stellar experience. And in this episode, I, your host and friend Pavan Chawla, am speaking with Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. We'll be back. And we are back. So Swaroop, when you look back across the completely new normal of 2 to 3 months of the lockdown, see, it must seem like a little lifetime, right? So what have been your learnings during the lockdown? What's your considered advice for professionals in the live event space today after this much time in the lockdown?
It's interesting, Pavan, that you asked that. I just authored something that I think went in Economic Times. And exactly my point is, what is the new normal and the long term? I coined a term called the midterm in the new normal. We're dealing in the midterm in the new normal. This midterm could be 3 months that we see, it could be 6 months or 7 months for Maharashtra. It could be about 4.5 months for Karnataka. It could be about 9 months for someone else like Delhi or Noida. And it's probably just another few months for Kerala or Goa. So in the midterm, the new normal is going to be this. The live event professionals that are in this scenario, the agencies that we speak to, everyone is there for each other. This is the time to upskill. This is the time to know that when you start tomorrow, your events are going to be very expensive. Your sanitization budgets are going to be 2x. You will be giving a mask at your box office. You will be sanitizing every car that comes in. And your ticketing revenues are going to go down because you will not be able to go full to capacity in that stadium. So at 10% or 33% of a 20,000 stadium, you might have 33% people. And therefore that revenue comes down, your sanitization budgets and your fumigation budgets go up. So this midterm is going to be tight for a while. I think people that virtually are inclined, people that will continue the midterm and try and assess costs here and be ready with multiple new models, and there are going to be a lot of new models. Someone will do a drive-in with cars. Someone will do a drive-in with movies. People in Colombo, Dubai are already doing drive-in with concerts, which is again the midterm before the long term comes in. Right. Innovation is going to be the key at this point of time. What can you innovate and hold audiences to the screen and maybe then go outside? So the midterm is the new normal, and then we'll talk about the long term maybe a little later. It's too early to say that.
Well said. I love the midterm is the new normal, really, because everybody is sort of, normally you look into the windshield and front on the road, but right now you got to look at the rear view also.
We have to. I think a lot of people are crystal gazing at this point of time, looking into a ball that that says multiple things. It's not going to happen. I think we have to focus on the now and here, prepare our teams and say we don't know what's going to happen 90 days from now, but this is what it is and let's do the best.
Correct. And in fact, you also answered my next question, which was, what's been ZeeLive's strategy for mitigating, the business impact due to the lockdown? But I think you've given me an excellent answer of that. So, let's go on to the next one. How will you approach your business model after the lockdown does finally get fully opened? What lessons on expanding or adding capabilities, like for the virtual space, for example, has the COVID-19 forced lockdown taught you as the business custodian of ZeeLive?
I think the new normal is going to be somewhat different. It is not going to be the same. Sectors, for example, that have outperformed each other are going to be spending very heavily. Demands that are scarier, for example, are going to spend less. The auto sector, for example, is waiting and banking on the fact that people are going to be scared to travel in public transports and hence therefore will buy cars, and they're trying to get the cost of their cars down. The virtual sellers like Amazon and Flipkart and everybody have seen a very, very large upside in the last few weeks when they opened up. They want to arrest those audiences there and not let them go to the physical stores outside. The physical stores like the Reliance Trends of the world are trying to tell people we are safe, we are sanitized, please come, social distance, we've got the best quality stuff. So the live entertainment professional and ZeeLive is looking at these grids and making our IPs ready for those grids. Who will spend on Earth? Who will spend on Supermoon? Who will spend on kids on the digital era? So Pavan, I mean, it's interesting that you've touched upon this topic into what happens when everything opens up. Will it be the same? No, it will not. That's the first acceptance. The demand supply of consumerism, what we are dependent upon, is going to change drastically. The auto sector, for example, is trying to make cheaper cars so that people that are scared of using public transport for the next few months, or like say the foreseeable future, go and buy that car. The Amazons and Flipkarts of the world have seen an upsurge in the last few weeks of their audiences, and they want to arrest those audiences. They're scared that, hey, these audiences should not go outside, and therefore they're trying to spend there. The Reliance Trends of the world are saying, no, our stores are completely safe and sanitized, and why don't you come and shop here? And they are prepared for that. So what ZeeLive is going to do, and my suggestion and proposition to every live IP creator, is that your agenda is always your intellectual property that you want to take forward. So you know your audiences. However, the advertiser demand and supply has to be tailor-made in a manner that suffices your IP and enables it to stay the longer term.
Super. A lot of very interesting and valuable insights over there, Swaroop. Thank you for those. You tune to Mediacast, the new podcast series from Mediabrief.com with young media veterans of exceptional ability and stellar experience. And in this episode, I, your host and friend Pavan Chawla, am speaking with Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. We'll be back. And we are back. I, your host and friend Pavan Chawla, am speaking with Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. So Swaroop, let's now look at brands that used to be very strong on events always. Okay? And how have those brands been marketing themselves during the pandemic? Obviously, they will not use live events, but what other virtual means or whatever are they using?
What has happened is the overall marketing strategy, and I'll take a step back here and quickly answer this. Whether it is events as the choice of advertising, whether it is television as the choice of advertising, it's radio or anything else, nobody has been able to offer a lot of fresh content in the last, let's say, 2.5, 3 months because production was stalled. Whether it is as a broadcaster, as a live entertainment promoter, any of those things. However, live entertainment and original content on the OTT side has surged up. So we on ZEE5 went about 46-47% up on subscription, and the brands suddenly moved there. The brands that were habituated, like an automaker, the Xiaomis of the world, the Mi's of the world, the Samsungs of the world, they've been forced to come online and utilize this ability. Are they waiting to get their audiences back? Yes. At what quantum will they is something that we have to wait and watch. But all of these brands today are believing in this midterm normal and are focused on saying how best can we utilize a Supermoon or an Earth or a ZEE5 for our midterm normal requirements and advertise in those places, and when fresh content is back, maybe go back to television and go back on the ground.
Absolutely. Very well explained, and I'm sure that the youngsters who are listening to this will really benefit from these insights. Swaroop, you've actually worked in 7 countries across the world with specialist and major live initiatives on the ground. So how is working there different from working in the live events, IP, branded content, talent management space in India? Infrastructure, processes, people.
I think as Indians, we find in India everywhere. That's to begin with. We're more adaptable than anyone else out there, is my 2 bits. However, the crews overseas are amazingly professional. Not that we're any less, but what's keyed into them is a very, very large degree of professionalism. I've worked with crews in Australia, in Amsterdam at the Ajax Arena, in Colombo for the opening and closing ceremony of the South Asian Games. Every crew across the world is very different, adaptable. It's that, for example, in the West, the crews are a one-man army. They don't have 1 million people. We have 20 people for lights, 35 people for sound, 45 people for the stage, and one backup compere for a compere, and so on and so forth. But over there, it's one man, one job, and then that man, another job, and that man the same. So it's just that the level of population and therefore the degrees of skill vary. But what taught us or me over there is, and I'm proud of it today, where I can still rig a cable from a PA system to a generator and manage the business of that entire conference because I worked with a bunch of those crews overseas.
That's great. But India, of course, has the wonderful power of jugaad.
It's unparalleled, Pavan. The power of jugaad is, and I've traveled far deep down from Punjab in Kapurthala all the way down to Kerala, and there is no other, and we thrive on it, and it does some great work.
Right. And Swaroop, live events have their own remarkable, shine and impact on presentations on the ground that can never be replicated in the virtual space. So what is the way ahead for marketers using live events or who are used to live events, going forward?
What's going to happen is the way you spend on events is going to change when they start. One step before that are the virtual events. How are people doing virtual events today? You're seeing a talent perform in the house and you're probably buying a ticket for that comic show. Now, what's happening overseas and in some places over is that VR or the virtual reality inside the content is far higher. So when Super M did a concert, it's a Korean band that did a concert, and 75,000 tickets were sold at $26 each on a platform called Naver. What happened is they made 2 million euros. So your ability to deep dive into the virtual event today is very, very, very large. If your content is great, this space is forever. It is opened up. People are not going to go away from it. Now, when we come back to the new normal, your spends are going to be very tight. Brands will not spend the same dollar value that they were. So you have to be quick about it. Do you need elaborate fabric? Do you need multiple things that are luxurious, or do you need the safety gears first? So those are going to be the give and takes in the midterm and the opening up. But when it comes back, it's going to be a big bang, like I have always said, across, and this is from data and speaking to promoters across the world.
But at the same time, like you put it very correctly, you said that brands will become far more tight-fisted, and they're probably getting used to it now. That life is going on, and once the markets and everything else opens up, they can still say that I can probably continue the lower marketing spend, which to me is a dangerous thing for any brand to do. But I guess everybody will cross that bridge when they come to it. So Swaroop, by when roughly do you think that the live events, IP, branded content, talent management industry in India will stagger up to its feet? What is its future in India, international markets too, whatever you'd like to share?
We'll focus on India for a bit, and I'll crystal gaze overseas. See, we are a demographically segregated and very dynamically so a country. There is a demography that consumes events or advertising in a very different way. For example, if you know of Jalsa, which is a 500 village or town event hosted by Coke since decades, where they go from village to village and they host the arm wrestlings and the bullock cart racings of the world and promote the brand through that in the rural markets. But the same Coke then does a Coke studio for a more evolved consumer and uses television and talent. So our demographies are very, very different, and they will consume today their content in the same way. What's going to happen is that we're going to see in, let's say, early October, late September, depending on state to state, it open up. You've already heard the malls are open. People are not going for various reasons, more from the shops in the malls that are trying to get their rents waived off by the mall authority itself. But the malls have opened up. Now, once the mall opens up, you will see slowly there are about 300 to about 500 people per day that have already started going in Delhi, in Karnataka. Now, they're used to about 180,000 people per weekend, right? 200,000 people per weekend. I think from September, October onwards, you will see smaller events happen. From December to February, you will see a spurt. Now, the only thing that I cannot comment on because I'm not qualified is if there is another surge, then we are back tracing a lot. Otherwise, if we've found a way around it and we're slowly opening up in a staggered manner, it will be 500 and under by October. It should be about between 500 and 1,000 somewhere in February, March. And in the coming summers, we should be able to see international talent come back to India as well.
Amen to that. I hope it comes in earlier. You tune to Mediacast, the new podcast series from Mediabrief.com with young media veterans of exceptional ability and stellar experience. And in this episode, I, your host and friend Pavan Chawla, am speaking with Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. We'll be back. And we are back. Okay, so now for some advice from you to the working young professionals in the live event space. What should they do? What new learnings, skills, what should they acquire to future-proof themselves and to equip themselves for the big evolution in the live events, etc., that the space is going to see, like you mentioned?
I think the young professional, Pavan, today should honestly, and I get about between 20 and 50 questions on my DM in my LinkedIn over a period of time every day. And I keep telling everybody that you have got to, now there are two kinds of young people. One that have just passed out and have stepped into the field of event management. They're like, what the hell just happened? There are people that are probably losing jobs and are young and don't know what to do. I think you should sit back and upskill right now. You should upskill to a point where when it opens up, if you were an event manager yesterday, but you're an event manager with a Coursera course of virtual reality events, you will be picked up by someone like me much before an event manager with 10 years of experience. Upskill, spend a little bit of money, but get yourself that upskilling done in the midterm so that you're available and valuable when it opens up.
Right. Great advice, Swaroop. And now some advice and perhaps encouragement for the extrovert youngsters who had always wanted to train for and work in events in particular and the MICE industry in general. I mean, these are the ones who are probably in first year in college, in graduation, or probably have joined some events training institute or want to do that. What are the career prospects for them?
I think humanity's nature to overcome calamities is so substantial, Pavan, that I have believed in it. I have seen what happened in 2008 when I was with MTV Asia and we were doing the Video Music Awards. I am here now and every time there is a large, and this is unprecedented, but we've overcome it. There is no other field like live entertainment to someone that is passionate about creating something. If you're in your first and your second year, you've seen the worst that can happen. You have 2 more years or a full year to prepare for what is to come and grow out of it. So upskill yourself, hone yourself, and add this. 40% of events are going to remain 30% of events are going to remain virtual and open up multiple things. Talent management will mean virtual and a lot of that. So I think there is no alternative to physical live entertainment. You will hug, cry, cheer that goal scored by your team. You will cry when your favorite concert is going up. And for the teams that put that together, this will never change. All the way from Michael Jackson in 1996 in India to now, it hasn't changed. And we've overcome a lot of it. So we will overcome this, and I think it's a great industry to be in.
Great, wonderful. So, last question, Swaroop. On the personal front, what keeps you going? And anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Of course. This is what I do, Pavan. This is who I am. We are, coming from a very responsible organization. what we do with our brand, when we breathe it, we live it, and at the Zee Media Group, and this holds across any of the group CEOs that function across the Zee Media Group. Our consumer is everything to us. We wake up with the thought that production is not yet started. Can we get content? Can we dub it? Can we create something? That person waiting who's been with us for 25 years is on that other end of the screen or the other end of the virtual screen for live entertainment, waiting for us to do something. Every day my teams will wake up and gear up for that consumer, and that's how it's going to be, and that's what keeps all of us going.
Wow, wonderful. Swaroop, thank you very much indeed. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and we'll try to take your views and insights to the largest number of professionals possible, and MediaCast will be available on the top global podcast directories through, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and so many others.
That's wonderful.
Any thoughts on our conversation? Any message for my listeners, readers?
I think a Mediabrief and your new venture in MediaCast is it's amazing how, Pavan, you as a professional, every time I think about you, you've just surprised me the next time again by coming up with a new platform or a new idea. I wish you all the best, and the team at Mediabrief and MediaCast all the best. And thank you so much, Pavan, for having me. And on behalf of Zee Entertainment, thank you everybody, whoever is listening on this one.
Thank you ever so much, Swaroop. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Swaroop Banerjee, Chief Operating Officer and Business Head of ZeeLive. My friends listening to MediaCast from Mediabrief.com, I hope you enjoyed this insightful conversation. It was really wonderful for me too. And till the next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.